What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is October 8th, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host Phil, episode 383. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to see the video version, check out YouTube. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. As soon as producer Pat's back from London, it should be getting a little bit of a refresh. Fingers crossed, who knows. And then look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show. We got Bills loss, Sabres bowl predictions, and Phil and I are putting on the zebra stripes for the day. We're becoming refs. But before we start, how we do every off-season show, Phil, what did you do this last week, and were you able to dodge that weird water that was falling from the sky on Tuesday?
I was. It was nice to have, though. It's been a really long time since it rained. I don't know the last time I used the rain barrel, but I'm sure it was getting a little low with all the heat and evaporation of it. So nice to probably get it refilled a little bit out there. I'm not feeling great right now. I have no idea what I did this past weekend. I remember watching some movies. I think I did some donation stuff, cleaned out a few things, cleaned out the garage a little bit with some old Halloween stuff. I think last year I wanted to clean it out and it was after Halloween. And I was like, I don't want to donate now. Like, I want people to possibly get the stuff. So did a quick Halloween donation recently of stuff I don't use anymore. I don't really know. I don't know what else. I think it was a calm-ish weekend before the storm of a big trip that the wife and I are going on this weekend. So after this podcast is done, I think the rest of the week's going to be more planning and packing and preparing for that. So I think that's where the mind will shift to post-podcast tonight.
Yeah, Phil's almost in vacation mode. If he drifts out, it's both because he's not feeling great and because, like I said, he's in vacation mode. For me, and Phil mentioned it off the top, next week we were going to have a bye week because I was scheduled to go to Houston to visit our friend John, who was on the show once. But he is currently closing on his brand new house and is living with his in-laws, and his his closing date is, I think, Friday, and I was supposed to arrive on Saturday. So the timing just wasn't right. So I will be on the show next week, along with a guest co-host that will be filling in for Phil. Not going to announce who it is, but it's been a while since this person's been on the show, so I'm excited to get them back on. We got some fun things planned. It's going to be a different type of show, so if you're not in it for the sports takes, next week should be the show for you. I'll remind everybody at the end as well. But Phil's going to have a nice, fun, relaxing vacation, and I will be slaving away here, working once again. Never missed an episode. Although every time we have a missed episode that I'm not on, it's just there's no episode because I have to do the editing. But I'm still on record. I've never missed one of these episodes. Ding. But my week in review, went apple picking with a group of friends on Saturday. They picked the hottest day of the remaining year to go for whatever reason. It was real went hot. To Becker Farms. It's a little place in our neck of the woods, the northern part. Fun times. They expanded it a ton since the last time I was there. There's so much more stuff there now. It was a fun trip. Like a little
village now.
Yeah, it's a massive village. It's insane. But yeah, that was fun. Got a bunch of apples. Brooke actually just turned it into an apple pie, so I got something to look forward to when I'm done editing here. I'm not a big cake person, but I love pies. The only cake I'll eat is an eclair cake, but that's a side tangent. Finished up building our greenhouse on Sunday and Monday. It was a very long process. It was very tedious. And because, you know me, I don't have good patience with detailed stuff, Brooke helped me with it. She read the directions and kept it calm. And we have one little thing to work on with it, a little bit more supports for the ceiling. But other than that, tested through the first storm, we're good. It's still standing. So Excited to get that used next spring, but we wanted to get it up now because we got a couple trees that we needed protection from the winter because we're not going to put them in the ground yet. So we had to get that built, and I didn't want to store the greenhouse. We wanted more storage. So that's what I did this week. And what also happened is another primetime Buffalo Bills game occurred. There's another one on the docket coming up. But this one wasn't as fun to stay up and watch. They lost 23-20. Everybody's already given their opinions since this is Wednesday, but we haven't given ours yet. That should be the mantra of this show. We pretty much are late to all the Bill stuff because we're once a week. But I don't care. Phil, I guess what was your overall thoughts on the game? Good, bad, negative, whatever you want to start with. I'm probably going to start with the good if you want to start with your good as well.
I didn't have a ton of good.
Yeah,
There
there's
was
not
some.
much.
There was some. I think once again, it's just the high standards we have for the Bills at this point. So pretty much any loss is going to be looked upon negatively. We already talked about this a ton during their last win. That was not good. But we'll start with the good. Dalton Kincaid, first game over 100 yards. I thought he looked really good. I thought they used him like they should be using him. I don't know if the Patriots just weren't really watching him very closely or if he truly was breaking open, getting free, but this is the Dalton Kincaid you wanted when you drafted him. Was these like this is what you were expecting year 1, year 2, not having to wait till year 3 for his first 100-yard game. Like, I know that's a big game, but that's what you brought him on to be, was that receiving threat, that possible kind of alpha in the wide receiver tight end room, and the Kelsey type player, and he just hasn't been that yet. But this game, I thought he looked really good. And this season, I know he's been like last game he had 1 catch, but it was a good touchdown. He's been just not utilized all that much, and I know he's had a couple bad drops here and there, so he could be even having a better season. But I think this was one of the more promising things we've seen from him in his young career. Is okay, you do have it in you. You can be that against an NFL defense. You do have the ability to go 6 for over 100, and you look good doing it. So in a game where the offense was looking pretty horrendous all around, I thought he was a really good bright spot, and hopefully that's something he can build on. And hopefully the team sees, okay, we can trust him in this role to be a kind of middle range guy who's going to be able to get open. So I do like that a lot for him. Other than that, there wasn't a ton to like without stealing all of your good things. So I will focus on Dalton Kincaid and let you take the rest.
Yeah, I really like Dalton Kincaid. The only thing negative I have about him is I wish they would have focused on him more. I think they would have had more success if they were more forcing it to him.
He was doing great, and then they were like, he's doing too well. Let's go to somebody else.
Yeah, he still only played less than 50% of the snaps. That can't happen when you're having a good game like that. Everybody eats mantras good, but when somebody's feasting, keep passing the dish back to them.
Right.
It's okay for one guy to feast every once in a while. I thought Groot looked really good. Gregory Rousseau on the first drive. This was the first time all season I actually noticed him. He actually earned his contract in this game. Defense in the first half, I thought they were really, really good, especially after the Allen Knox fumble. They got the ball right back because of Shaq Thompson. I thought Shaq Thompson had a really good game. I thought the play call on the first drive to get Samuel that touchdown, I mean, it was fantastic in the third. I'm sorry, this was the first drive of the second half. That is in the third quarter. That touchdown design to Curtis Samuel, it was perfect. We need more of those type of plays, less handoff to Dawson Knox. The back-to-back penalties by New England really bailed out Buffalo in the fourth quarter. Another opportunity where the opposing team is just costing themselves, and Buffalo was able to capitalize. And then I thought Coleman, his big high fade on third down in the fourth quarter, that was also huge. That's a big reason why you drafted him, for those type of plays. Other than that, I am going to preference this before we get into the negatives. I learned my lesson from the Denver game a couple years ago where they lost and I said they're not making playoffs. I don't really care about wins or losses in the regular season. This team's making the playoffs. They're winning the division. Their goal and my goal for them is to win the Super Bowl. So really everything, I'm not going to overreact in the regular season, but what we have been saying for the last 4 games, we weren't being overly negative, and I'm not worried about this team. But there are worrisome parts about this team that need to be addressed before you hit playoffs. And I think we said that word for word in the last show. And as long as those problems are addressed before playoffs, I'm good. I'm not going to overreact about one loss. It's the regular season. You and I both had them for 14-3. I mean, neither one of us had them losing this game, but in the end, we had them losing 3 games. They're going to end up losing games. Nobody's going to go perfect season besides, the Miami Dolphins of years past. So, before we get into the negatives, just wanted to preference that I am not worried about the overall aspect of this team and where they're going to be at season's end record-wise or standing-wise, but there are issues of their games that have been glaring for the past 5 weeks now, and this 5th week, they weren't able to overcome those issues.
And they still almost were able to bail themselves out once.
3 turnovers and 11 accepted penalties was the reason you lost by 3. That's what's insane.
And that's the thing. Like I do think, again, I had the Patriots beating the Bills later in the season when they go to Foxborough because I thought the Patriots would be a team that slowly comes on. They're a good team. They have pieces. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a threat to the Bills, but I thought maybe later in the season they would put it together and be able to have an upset on the road against Buffalo. This game to me, like, you can say what you want about the Patriots. They played an okay game. They weren't good to me. I don't think they were a good team. I don't think they're better than the Bills by any means. They're not a bad team. I don't think they're the Jets or anything. But I don't think they're a good team, and I don't think they did anything to truly win this game. I think it was all the Bills doing everything to lose this game, and that's the problem I've had with the last couple of wins is you've needed the punter getting ran into in order to seal the victory late in the game twice. And then even like you said, in this one, you got back-to-back 15-yard penalties that bailed you out to get to where you ended up being and in a situation to at least tie it. And it's those late-game situations where it was, 1st and 10 within the red zone, and they didn't get anywhere, didn't get a touchdown, should be able to capitalize on a situation like that, put that game not away, but put yourself in a much better situation to win that game. I just thought, like, this is the issue I've had with this team. The urgency to win games doesn't seem to really be there. They're not fired up to play. They're not, it just seems like they're going through the motions. Like, they have a very similar view as you do to the regular season where, like, we'll make playoffs. We're going to win the division. Let's get through them. Like, they're just not excited, which is fine. Like, you expect teams that are lower and are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Those are the teams you expect to be getting it up every single game because every win is huge for them. And yes, every win is huge for the Bills, and this is a big loss as far as the division goes. Like, could the Patriots run the table and possibly give you a fight? I doubt it, but it's possible now. But these kind of games and the games they've had pretty much the whole season is just, we'll go out there, we'll do just enough to win, and that's it. And that's the, like, it's, if that's what they were doing and they were playing really good football with no penalties or very few penalties and all the drives look pretty good and nothing really stalls too much, you're just slowly, methodically going down the field, eating a ton of clock and winning 30-21, fine. That's great. If that's how you want to win with like a boring brand of football where you're getting the win during the regular season, that's great. All for it, whatever, do what you got to do. But the way they were winning and the way they lost this game is just penalties look atrocious, which shouldn't come from a very disciplined team, a team that to start the year was incredible against penalties, and now all of a sudden they've just fallen off and they're getting penalties left and right. Turnovers last 2 games, something the Bills are known not to ever do, have been atrocious. So the big things, those are the 2 big things to me that should be controllable, whether you win or lose a game, that you need to have under control throughout the season at all times is just a well-disciplined, good football team that should be in the top of the standings. Like, penalties should be very low, turnovers should be very low. Go out there and play a very boring brand of football, get the W, and go home and move on to the next game. That's all fine, but that's just not how they're playing games right now, and it's not, even the wins they've had, like, yeah, if you look at just the score, it looks okay, but the way they're winning is not really solid football. I'm not saying they're getting lucky, they're winning fine, but it's just not, you don't watch the Bills and you're like, wow, that was a great game of football, boring but great, they played fine. It's just, it's all pretty ugly right now.
Yeah, the way they're playing is not going to get them wins in the playoffs. That's the biggest key. I thought the offensive line didn't look all that great in this one. I mean, you already went over the penalties and the interceptions. I mean, The Milano injury, I mean, he doesn't look right. I don't know if you can ever count on him again, which is sad because I'm a big Milano guy. Trey White looks cooked. It was a good story, but he is not an every down cornerback
No.
anymore. Benford was bad in this one. Taylor Rapp is awful. There's no running backs behind James Cook. I mean, you had to settle for three when under three, and Allen left a clean pocket. Like that one, our one friend put in the chat like the offensive line is bad, and I went, Allen left a clean pocket. That's not on the offensive line. They rushed forward, it was a clean pocket. Allen left it early. It's the all the pieces, like we said in the last show, all these little things add up, and that's why you ended up losing this one. Not overly worried, just saying that unless they fix these things come playoffs, your one bold prediction of them not winning the Super Bowl is going to come true again. To me, and we tweeted it out, and then I quoted the tweet. They could have really used that number 8 on the other side of the field. And I know there's drama with that. I know he, quote-unquote, requested out. But guess what? You just re-upped him. And I know I don't want to hash bad wounds already in years past. But he had just signed a contract extension. You had his rights. You could have had a disgruntled Stephon Diggs here. And guess what? The things that I think the reason that he left are still true today. That's all I'm going to put out there. The last thing here, and it's not part of it, I want to apologize to Sean McDermott, not because I don't believe he deserves the blame and the criticism that I put on him, but I don't think I've been hard enough on Brandon Beane. And yes, there's been moments where I've called out Brandon Beane. This just hasn't been good enough. And his draft classes beyond the rounds 3 through 7 have not been good enough. The players that he's paying on defense right now are not living up to those contracts. The wide receiver room is not getting any separation. That was one big concern we did here. If James Cook is having an off day, you have to put everything on Josh Allen, and he wasn't able to do it because the wide receivers aren't separating. The play calls were not good. The defense can't stop anybody. It's a culmination of all those little things that are adding up to me being concerned that this could be a one and done type of team come playoffs. Again, week 5, not overreacting. I'm just looking towards the future. Again, they're going to win the division. They're going to be towards the top. They could be a 1 through 4 seed guaranteed. But if they keep doing what they're doing right now, playoffs are not going to look real good. I'm going to be pretty nervous about it. But next game is Monday night, another primetime game, and I think we're good for a while. I think that's the last primetime game for a while. There's some 4 o'clock games mixed in there. But I think after the bye, it's a 1 o'clock game, so I'm excited for that. We'll take a look around the league real quick. I'm not going to focus on any of the teams that are kind of towards the bottom of the division. Colts get a big win. They move to 4-1. Jets, because they're in the division, they dropped to 0-5. Denver, big win over Philly. They moved to 3-2. Miami drops to 1-4. Again, not really worried about the division whatsoever. Texans blowout Baltimore. Baltimore moves to 1-4. Texans 2-3. Somehow they're still alive in this one. Titans win in, my God, I don't know if you saw the end of that game, but the Cardinals moving to 1-4. Cincinnati,
on a certain podcast.
Yeah, Cincinnati drops to 2-3. They're a dumpster fire and just traded for old man Joe Flacco, who's not going to survive behind that offensive line. Chargers move to 3-2 with a loss to Washington, their whole offensive line, and now they lost both running backs. And the Chiefs lose Monday night in heartbreaking fashion. I lose in heartbreaking fashion. John, the DB, would have just caught that interception, I would have won. But Jags moved to 4-1. So it's really, this is the talk about the league right now. There isn't a clear number 1 across the entire NFL, let alone the AFC. That number 1 seed is just calling Buffalo just to take it. Just take it, baby. Take it. And they just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, right now, if I had to pick one team throughout the whole league, I think Detroit looks really good.
Detroit is the scary one, yeah.
Yeah, their defense is real good and healthy. Their offense looks pretty flawless. So I think right now, out of any teams out there, Detroit looks like that's how I want the Bills to look. I want them to look like Detroit, a well-oiled machine that wins games pretty easily. And again, doesn't have to be as exciting as Detroit's making it, but just a well-oiled machine that the Bills currently are not. But like you just said, like the AFC especially, the Chargers look gross with that offensive line. They're in a lot of trouble at 3-2. The Broncos look shaky, but an okay 3-2 team. The Steelers are 3-1. That's not really that exciting. The Colts, the Jags, don't really understand either of those. They're both okay, but they're not exciting. Kansas City, 2-3, Baltimore 1-4. Those are your two big teams that headed into the season. We're like, okay, these are the teams to worry about. Cincinnati was a team to worry about. They're gone. So headed into the season, the big three, I would say, were the Ravens, Kansas City, and Cincinnati were the ones like, okay, these are the teams you got to worry about. And then the Chargers kind of mixed in if they put it all together. And 3 of the 4 of those are pretty much, I mean, Kansas City will be fine eventually. Baltimore's probably toast. Cincinnati's definitely toast. And the Chargers with that offensive line issue are going to be in trouble. So, like you just said, the loss is critical because any game you could stay that much farther ahead of all of these teams is great. But the AFC, I think, is wide open this year. And if there's ever a time for the Bills to go and get that first seed, this is it. But they got to start putting it together.
So on our next show, we'll have our special co-host break down the Atlanta Falcons game versus Buffalo on Monday Night Football. And we'll be back to talk about that one on next Wednesday's show. But we'll move forward. It's Sabres season, their first home opener and start to the season is Thursday. Brooke and I will be in attendance in the 100 level. Thank you, Buffalo Bandits, for allowing us to sit in the 100 levels there. I'm in the seats that I normally have for the Buffalo Bandits, just opposite side. Like, we got the leg room in front of us. Absolutely loved it. But as we've mentioned multiple times, we're adjusting how we cover this team, but we're still doing our 3 bold predictions for the season. We're going to go back and forth, and these are all going to be, at least for me, I believe for you as well, these are all going to be positives because that's what makes this bold, is because we're trying to be positive about this team after they missed 14 straight playoffs. So, if you're listening to this for the negatives, that's expected. That's not bold.
It's too easy.
These are bold for a reason. Phil, do you want to start, or you want me to kick off my first one?
I can start,
Okay.
and I think, given the last few seasons, it is about as bold as it gets. I have the Sabres with a 23 power play percentage at the end of the year. As of last year, that would have put them 14th in the league, top half. And at some point, to me, the power play just has to work. They have the offensive pieces. I think they were 6th, I want to say, last year in even strength scoring. They brought in some pieces to help in general. They have some little bit of a rebolstered offense again. I think it just has to work at some point. Hopefully they took the offseason and actually worked on the power play a little bit. Last season they had an 18.8% power play. PK, I think your bold prediction last year was
let's not bring that up. Let's move past
that they would look good, and they looked horrible. And this year I'm trying to run it back because there's not too many options to make some bold predictions. But the big thing to me is losing Paterka's 6 power play goals. I mean, 6 doesn't sound like a lot, but that was 3rd on the team last year in power play goals for. So someone's got to step up in his absence on the power play. But I think in general, they have the offensive talent to score. They just need to find a system that works for the guys on the team. They've added some talent this season. They have some talent that was injured that came back this season. So we'll see if they can put it all together, but I think the power play should, in theory, be better. Well, it can't be much worse than it was last year, so it should go up, but if they can get up into the 23%, it would be quite the jump for them, but I think they have the talent on the team to do it.
Yeah, this is kind of going to be like the Ottawa Black Bears / New York Riptide, where I had them first and it hurt me, and then you had them and that hurt you. But yeah, keeping it positive, I do think that the talent is there, that if they do excel on the power play, they're going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the league because they're so good at even strength goals, even subtracting JJ Paterka. You kind of replace him with, hopefully, fingers crossed, healthy Josh Norris season. And that kind of translates into my first one. And a big reason why I have this guy scoring 50 goals is because of his line mates in Zach Benson. And Lindy Ruff already kind of mentioned it on WGR. He's the one that battles in the corners and get the pucks to Josh Norris. But
wild.
I have Tage Thompson hitting 50 goals for the first time in his career. In 2022-23, he hit 47 in 78 games. And then last year, he had 44 in 76. If he stays healthy and the rest of his line mates stay healthy, which is another big thing, I think he gets to 50. And a big reason for that is referencing what your first bold prediction was, is that this power play can't be that bad. I think he can get to 12 to 15 goals, let alone on the power play. And then the rest of them can come even strength. He's too talented not to get to 50. And I think if Josh Norris plays a full close to 80 games and give Zach Benson 80 games, and they stay the pairing together, even if you got to throw up Kulik every once in a while and Alex Tuck on that first line every once in a while, I think Tage Thompson's shot and his skill and him being fully healthy another year past that injury with his wrist, I think he can get to 50 goals. That is my first bold prediction for the Buffalo Sabres.
This is going to be a stupid question, mainly because I should know it, but Winger Thompson, how long has he been Winger Thompson?
They moved him back last year because of the lack of confidence. Remember what Lindy said: if you're not going to be able to play center, you're going to go to wing. And I think having Josh Norris there, who takes the faceoffs, I think as long as Josh Norris stays healthy, again, that's a big part of it. I think Tage is going to be on the wing most of the year.
And I think taking that pressure off of him.
Yes,
that I know it was on, again, like you said, he was taking it off last year, but I think having a potentially true number one center on your line where the pressure is just not there for you to be a winger / center, I think it'll just be a little bit less pressure where somebody else is possibly a little bit of the focus on that top line or a little more of the focus from another team to free him up just that little extra bit to push him over. Like you said, you're not asking for a ton more, 47 and 44, 3 goals and 6 goals away. It's not like he's 10, 15 goals away. So a couple extra on the power play, a couple extra even strength, and he's there.
Take it away.
Second one kind of goes along with that as well. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because we kind of just talked about this first line quite a bit. But I have Benson hitting 50 points. It's a massive jump for him, but he is slowly getting better and better and more experienced as time goes on. He was extremely young when he came to the Buffalo Sabres. He's finally getting older. He's growing up a little bit. I think he's, 20 now? So even older Benson is still pretty young. But I think just the opportunity he has being on the top line is huge. The fact that he's on the top line scares me for the Sabres' offense and depth. I don't know if he's necessarily what you would consider a top-line winger, but what he does and what he has been recently, I think has been really solid. I think it was 28 points 2 years ago, or maybe 28 last year, 30 points 2 years ago. I think he went down in points last year, but he still improved as a player last year, and I think just having that opportunity on a top line that's very talented, I think he should be able to take that next jump. And yes, 20 points is a monster jump in one season, but being on the top line just gives you that opportunity to make a jump like that. And if he can keep up and stay healthy and stay on that top line, I think he has every ability to do it. Peterka also has 27 goals and 41 assists that he vacated mainly from that top line. So with Benson playing with Thompson and Norris, I'm not expecting a 70-ish point season like Peterka had, but give me up to 50 points, give me 20 goals, 30 assists. I think he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, he did go from 30 to 28 last year. He is 20, so you did nail that. But I also think something else that will help him get to 50 is the time on ice. The last 2 years, he's been averaging under 15. If he's playing that top line, that's going to spike to 18, 19, 20 minutes a night. So if he can stay healthy and work with Tage Thompson, Josh Norris on that top line, I can see him getting to 50. It's not that far out of reach.
I know it's a wild comparison, but very young in his career. He seems like the Briere type player, a little bit smaller, sets players up, is really dirty in the corners, gets all the hard work, does all the things right. He seems like that kind of player so far, especially if he's already on the top line at only 20 years old.
Agreed. But before we dive into my second bold prediction, let's get our sponsor on this show, which was once again Tap That Tap Room.
Tap That Tap Room's at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. They are Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps offering a wide variety of ciders, beers, sours, seltzers, and malt beverages. And with the patio season coming to a close, oh my gosh, we did it again. I'm going to ignore what I just said and let PK go.
He caught it. We're on the same wavelength. What's again? But you already know what's on the calendar coming up. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, it's Geeks Who Drink Trivia Night at 7:30. What's fun about this, and you got to be following their Facebook and Instagram page, they give the clue word of the day that is the topic for that trivia, so you can kind of study up on what the trivia could be. Friday from 3 to 7, it's the must be place of the week. Is that the right wording of that? Happy hour
No.
from 3 to 7. Whole beer wall is discounted. Get there, find your new favorite, and then stick around for DJ Nightlight for the next 5 hours from 7 to midnight, jamming out. And they have a different music genre every single Friday. They announced that before as well. So if you don't like it, you can stick tuned for the next one. Or you can go and find your new favorite song or listen to some bangers from previous years. But what Phil did mention, it is the elite season. Yes, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, the day before on Tuesday just rained. You probably got really wet, but everybody needed a little bit of rain, including the ground and the flowers and all that kind of stuff, because we were in a massive drought. There was a burn ban, but I had a fire on Friday anyway, so suck it. Come and get me. But patio season is still alive and well. Get out there. Just bring a hoodie. Hoodie and shorts season is fantastic, and there's nothing better than drinking what your favorite new drink is, and you could be there on Friday from 3 to 7 and find it. But patio season is still going on. It's still prime time, and once again, there's no better time to go find your favorite drink and enjoy it on the patio with some friends, and bring a four-legged animal friend as well, because the time is winding down. You're going to be stuck indoors for the next 6 months pretty soon, so get out there, enjoy Tap That Tap Room's beautiful patio, because it is absolutely fantastic. To find out what else they got coming up, check out their Facebook and Instagram page and find out what's on tap and what's on deck. Check out tapthattaproom.com. My second bold prediction, and this one could be a bit of a stretch and maybe something that's either good or bad, but I don't care. By the end of the season, Devin Levi is the starting goaltender for this team from the end of the season and forward. I do not think UPL is the guy. I'm sorry, Phil. It's just, when you look at it, yes, he's still just 26 years old, and that's usually when goaltenders are like right starting their prime. I don't think he's an NHL caliber goalie. He's in 2022-23, 3.61 goals against and an 892 save percentage. The next year, 2.57 goals against average and a 910 save percentage. That was his best year as a professional hockey player. He earned his big 5-year contract. The first year of it last year, 3.2 goals against and an 887 save percentage. He got worse. And he comes into training camp. He comes into the regular season already on the IR, already hurt. It's 1 year into his deal. He hasn't been good besides that 1 year that earned him that contract. If you look at his whole pro career down in Rochester and the ECHL and overseas and in the NHL, he has not been very good. And maybe it's because of the defense in front of him. Maybe because of the forwards in front of him. I don't know what it is, but he's just, to me, he's not that guy. I don't think Alex Lyon is that guy. I think he's a good backup option if UPL's falters and Levi's not ready to take that spot. I think he can get you by. You already saw Gregoff. He's already waived and going down to Rochester. And then Ellis is not the guy. I think Ellis is just until UPL comes back. Sabres need Levi to take that next step this season, in my opinion. And if he starts in Rochester, which he's going to already, I shouldn't even said that. But if he gets hot in Rochester and he starts developing even more down there, I think by January and February, if Buffalo's right in it and UPL and Lyon are not it, you need to call up Levi because, one, Lindy Ruff's job's on the line. 2, Kevin Adams' job's on the line. And everybody in Saberland, their sanity's like already past it. But you need to give them some type of hope. So if Levi's killing it down in Rochester and Buffalo's on that precipice of breaking this drought in January and February, Levi can come up, grab the reins of the in between the pipes and take that and run with it. I mean, that's my hope because you saw how good he was down in Rochester last year. I don't think he needs to start up in Buffalo this year. He's obviously not going to. I think that's the correct decision. But if he's killing it and Buffalo's right in it, January, February, he needs to come up and take that post and make it his.
Yeah, I think if he, I completely agree. No one on the Sabres right now like that. I mean, we're not really talking about the Sabres as a whole for their season, but that is my biggest issue right now with the Sabres. I mean, other than Kesselringer being injured, I think he would have helped quite a bit, but we'll see when he gets back and the general injuries they have outside of that. But goaltending to me is their biggest, weakest link right now. If their whole team is healthy, they look like they've put together a semi-okay roster that still needs a lot of players to step up, and you're hoping for a lot, as the Buffalo Sabres love to do, really banking on player development and that these guys are going to take massive steps forward, and then they don't take that step forward. But hypothetically, if these players did take that step forward and everything kind of just worked out how they have it working out in their heads, I think the roster is okay. I don't think it's great by any means. I don't think you're one of the top teams in the league by any means, but it's an okay roster that could make playoffs. But goaltending needs to be there. And right now, with the guys on the roster, I don't think it is. And I agree with you. I don't think UPL is it. Biggest thing to me with him is he can't stay healthy for any length of time. So, I mean, that's just a monster issue. And even last year when he was healthy, he got beat out by the 32-year-old backup, and the 32-year-old backup played much better than he did in front of the same team. So I don't think UPL's it. I love your progression with Levi in your bold prediction that if he starts, he's going to, we keep saying if he starts, when he starts in Rochester, if he plays so well that it looks like his development is stunted down there, where he's like, okay, he's done it. Like this, he's reached what he needs to reach. He's playing incredible. He's not really taking any dips. His development has kind of hit a ceiling in Rochester, and Buffalo's still in it in January and February, like you're saying. Like if they're still even near the playoff race at that point, then I could see them bringing him up. Like, okay, you're good in Rochester. You've done what you need to do. Come up to the Sabres and help us make playoffs for the first time in 14 years. I do like that projection for him. My third one is going to be, it's not stats based, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to judge, but
You'll be able to tell, though.
you'll be able to tell for sure, and there will be people, I think he's under a microscope. So basically, long story short, Owen Power will simply be a better hockey player this year than he has been so far. He was the number one overall pick a couple of years ago. This will be his fourth full season as a Buffalo Sabre, and that is about the time that Dahlin also really started to take off in his fourth full season. His playtime jumped from 21 minutes on average in his third season to 24 minutes on average in his fourth season. 3 minutes a game is quite a bit in hockey, as you already mentioned with Benson, 15 up to 20 or 15 up to 18. That's a big jump for a hockey player. So I think you really kind of saw it with Dahlin that his fourth year, that was like the year, his coming out party, and the year after that he looked even better. But I think this is going to be the year that's not make or break for Power, but this is the year he needs to say, I'm here, I'm what you drafted, this is it. His stats and everything were a little bit better last season, but it's not the player you drafted. It wasn't the consensus, obvious number one overall pick of that draft. He hasn't lived up to that hype. And the big thing with him on the Sabres is he has Dahlin. He doesn't need to be the number one defender on the Buffalo Sabres. They have that already, and he's one of the best players in the NHL. So that pressure isn't there. He needs to be just a really, really solid top four pairing guy, and I don't think he's there yet, but I think he could get there this season. The big thing to me, which is I think something we've seen since he was drafted, even I know it's kind of weird to call out interviews and things. I'd be nervous too as a young kid, but he's so timid just as a human being. He just seems like a very timid player. I think that's where he just needs to be better, and maybe that's where that switch kind of flips in the fourth season of just the confidence is pretty much all he's missing from his game. He just does not seem confident in his decisions. He doesn't seem confident in his physicality. Like he's getting statistically a little bit better each year, but on ice he just still looks very shaky and like he just doesn't trust what he's doing. And I think this is the year he needs to pick a decision, whatever it is on the ice, and he just has to start being more confident in himself, and hopefully this is the year that kind of takes over.
Yeah, I mean, now that he is away from Yoki Haru, I think that was the player that he played mostly with, and you got a partner for him when he gets healthy in Kesselring. I'm cautiously optimistic that this will be a year four jump for him. He's turning 23, and I do expect him to take that next level jump and be that consistent, reliable number two pairing defenseman that I think he rightly needs to be. And if this team's going to make the playoffs, their defensive core needs to be the elite defensive core that they're hoping it's going to be. For me, I made this call last year and it panned out, and I'm going back to the tank. I did this 2 years ago for him. I was wrong, so I went back to the tank last year with a different player, and I was right. So I'm hoping I'm back to the right, being right again. Jack Quinn becomes the next JJ Peterka. He's only 24, and his full season last year, he was mostly hurt the year before that. In 2022-23 in 75 games, he had 37 points. 2 years ago, just 27. You remember he got hurt, and then he came back, and then he got hurt again, 19 points. And then last year in 74 games, he had 39 points. So his best season as a pro. So overall, for my prediction, it's going to be very similar to Paterka. I think he's going to get over 50 points. I think he's going to hit the 30-goal mark, which JJ was just short of, but I think I had JJ over 25. I'll have to go double check that. But I have him for 30, 25, and 50 for a prediction, right around those numbers, but he's going to get over 50 points. If he does that, he's going to be a very solid second, third pairing winger and more depth scoring that this team desperately needs.
Yeah, he concerns me still. Mainly, it's very similar to Power. Like, we've seen flashes of it for sure, and
Not
he's
all
had
there.
moments where you're like, yes, this is the guy they drafted. Then he has other moments you're like, okay, you haven't scored in 10 games. What the heck is happening? He just needs to be consistent. He needs, like you just said, he needs to take that next step forward. Again, this is pretty much these last two bold predictions are exactly what the Sabres continue to bank their entire existence on, is this young homegrown talent taking that next big leap, and then they don't do it. So hopefully, I mean, sadly, they're bold for a reason, because I don't think either of us truly believe that Power will take that next step and Quinn will take that next step. They're bold predictions, but I think we both, obviously, we're making them predictions. We think it is in the realm of possibilities for them. I like Quinn, like you said, he's still only 24. I think he has the abilities to take that leap, but it's just something we need to physically see. I think he has it in him, but he's got to be way more consistent. He just has a disappearing act way too often. And again, he has flashes in games where you're like, okay, this is the guy they drafted. This guy looks great. And then he just disappears for 10 games. You're like, okay, where'd he go? So I do think if he can remain consistent on this team and stay healthy, he does have the ability to get to that 55-point range.
So there are our three predictions each for the Buffalo Sabres season. Remember, kind of changing up how we cover them. We're going to be hit or miss on them. So we'll see how much we cover on the next show with our special co-host. We'll move on to our final segment, Buffalo Bandits / NLL. Not going to dive too much into the CBA talks because Jake Elliott and a few other players or people are absolutely killing it with the coverage with that. I'm very thankful for those upbeat, positive tweets that are out there because it's keeping me going and keeping me optimistic. Basically, what came out last week was the players' letter and the owner's letter. Basically, the owners / board of governors added deadlines to get a deal done. I've heard that they've delayed those deadlines now. Players are asking for raises. League wants no raises and a 5-year deal and a hard cap. There was no negotiations from like March to September for whatever reason. Real cool, whatever. I mean, I'm not happy with how it's being negotiated. I heard Jamie Dowick talk about it. I think we kind of tweeted about it, that it's less about... I don't doubt what he's saying about the numbers, and I believe everything like that, and I'm on his side with everything like that. But I think you also got to remember he was just reading emails. He wasn't a part of those negotiations. So only take what he said as a grain of salt. It sounds like everything's moving forward. It sounds like there are concessions on both sides. It sounds like both sides want to get a deal done. I'm not going to talk about much more because it does sound like they're progressing. It does sound like a deal could be reached in the coming days, maybe by Friday. It doesn't sound like they want to avoid canceling anything. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic that something's going to get done and we're going to get a full season. I'll share my regular thoughts on how this whole progressed once something's done and we got a little bit more time to dedicate it to. But I'll put it like this. I am much more confident that a deal gets done sitting here today than I was last week. And even last week, I was still cautiously optimistic. So I'm headed in the right direction based on everything we're hearing.
Yeah, I think last week especially when those emails and everything came out, what the players were looking for, what the owners were looking for, and kind of the back and forth at that point, I think we were pretty negative about the idea. I still 100% believe that both sides understand that they cannot cancel a season. So to me, that's never been really a threat. If they cancel a season, I don't know if this league survives, and I think everybody understands that. So the full cancellation of a season, I don't think was ever, to me personally, in jeopardy. These early games I could see being pushed back a week or two. That I think was a very realistic possibility, but it sounds like you said, they're doing everything possible. And they had, a 5-hour meeting of back and forth.
I can't believe it was a 5-hour meeting and everybody's blowing that off. It should be a 12-hour meeting. Like, it shouldn't... those meetings each day should go 12 plus hours until you get somewhere. Like
Right.
that's the thing that I don't understand is how you at least go 5 hours with all these kind of things. And it's
That's a
like,
huge
okay,
success.
that's a huge thing. Like it should be a
That
constant
was going
thing.
to be my issue. I mean, like you said,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about it at a different time, but just the fact that there is all of a sudden this big push, like, whoa, we don't want to cancel games. Let's sit down and get this
You
together.
were
Like,
good with it
okay,
from March to September though. So
right. Like, you could have done that all summer, but no, no, no. We'll wait till the very last second. But at the same time, I was going to bring this up for fun. Like, this, for anyone who thinks this is not an NLL issue. Like, this happens in every single
yeah.
sport.
Yep.
The
Yep.
CBA comes up, everybody, it gets right to the edge. Everybody panics, and then it gets done. I mean, you look at even just the NFL had a referee strike for
Oh, I forgot about that.
months into actual regular season games. They had substitute refs that were a joke, and this is the biggest league in the entire world making billions of dollars. They had a referee strike for the real refs into the regular season where they had backup referees out there. Like, this happens to every single league, even the big fancy NFL that's out there. So this isn't just an NLL thing. This is just what happens. It's a business more than anything. Everyone's trying to kind of provide for themselves. The owners want to provide for themselves. The players want to provide for themselves. So it's just part of the world of sports and business. But like you said, last week I think we were looking a little more negative, and then what's come out the last even today of all things sounds much better, and sounds like everyone's really trying to push not to cancel anything. We'll see. I think it's still a possibility that at least those first very early games get pushed back a little bit. I am worried. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I am worried, like I said a little while ago, about just general player injuries and things. If they are shortening preseason and shortening training camps to get the regular season started, I wonder if we'll see an uptick in early season injuries, and that is going to be a bummer if that's true. But for now, we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, we'll talk about the CBA and everything that got us to where we are once that's actually finalized, and we'll dedicate a whole show to that. But as you were talking about the refs, it's a good transition. We did this the past two off seasons, I believe, and we're bringing it back because we really like it. We each came up with 2 rule changes, additions, subtractions, however you want to talk about it, that we feel will boost this league and make the product better. And I'm going to start because I am very passionate about this one, and we talked about it multiple times. I think Adam Levy brought it up when he was on the show as well. I hate the penalty for losing a helmet rule. I think that needs to change and remove the penalty aspect of it. We said it in the past, so if you've listened to the show for a while, you already know my stance on it. It goes from a penalty to a dead ball foul and change of possession. That's simple. As soon as the helmet's off, change of possession, dead ball, blow, player runs off the field. We saw it last year. It was already a problem. There's too much leeway and too much discretion with the officials with this call that when do you blow it dead? When do you let them play? How long is too long to let them go? How many steps are they allowed to have before they have to get rid of the ball? Keegan Ball scored without a helmet on, and the league promoted it. I mean, he broke a rule, and the league's tweeting about it going, look how cool this is. Klutch swipes at the ball and gets 2 minutes. If this rule is about player safety, and I believe that's what its intended purpose, I believe that the rule was enacted for a good reason. But blow the play dead then. Like, why is it considered a penalty when the helmet comes off a player? Penalizing a team when a helmet pops off, in my opinion, isn't fair. If you really are that much a stickler about these type of rules, you need to enforce the rules that are already there. And that's what Adam Levy pointed out. The chin straps need to be tighter. That's already a rule on the book. So if you want to prevent the helmet from coming off and you want to keep that rule in, enforce the original rule. And all you have to do is just walk down the bench and see how many players have their chin straps down to their neck. Like, that's all how you fix it. That's my thing. So either remove that aspect, stick to that one, or enforce the rules that are starting there. So to me, removing the penalty aspect of a helmet coming off and just make it a dead ball foul.
Yeah, especially because so many times, also for those listening and not watching, PK's dog's making a lot of noise in the background.
All over the place.
But yeah, that's one of the issues with me. I mean, yes, the chin strap should be tighter, and I mean they do the player checks of the sticks. They do all the goalie checks. Like, can't you just walk down during a timeout down the bench and make sure? Yes, the players could loosen it right afterwards. Blah blah blah. But it would help a little bit if you're keeping a closer eye on that. But at the same time, you don't know why it fell off. Like if another player rips that person's helmet off in the middle of a scrum for a ball, for a loose ball and everything, and that helmet comes off and they're still fighting for the ball and they get a penalty, but it was the opposing team that ripped the helmet off, it shouldn't be like, we'll say Rochester rips a Buffalo player's helmet off and the Buffalo player is penalized for taking a couple extra swipes at the ball in the middle of a scrum. That doesn't seem fair either. So I do agree. If it's for player safety, make it a change of possession. Make it real simple. It doesn't need to be this huge thing. It doesn't. And if it is just a change of possession, I think it would be called more often and less, because it's less of a severe issue. So I think you're calling it more often, which is to me a good thing, because then it's more about player safety. If you're calling it more consistently, hey, get off the field, get your helmet, or we're just going to blow the play dead, get your helmet back on. Same thing with, hockey. Yes, playing goalie without a mask is much, much different, but the second they see the helmet of a goalie in the NHL,
unless you're Jonas Enroth.
Right. He just keeps playing and almost takes the puck to the face but catches it. But if they see the strap get loose or the goalie immediately rips his helmet off, stands up, he's like, hey, I don't have my helmet on, you got to stop the play, and they do. So I think you just need to make it a little more like that if that's what they're going for. I hate the penalty aspect of it, especially when it's just so, like you said, it's just so subjective of what they want to call or what the league wants to promote, which is a penalty. My first one, which I don't have a great way to fix it, but it is the challenge. There's two parts of it. One is the challenging of a play in general. They have 35 seconds to challenge a play if it's after a dead ball, and if the play stopped, you have 35 seconds to challenge a play. If the play is still active, you have 25 seconds to challenge a play. To me, until the NLL becomes bigger, I think you need to give teams more time to look at a play. They're looking at this tiny little iPad from just them. I don't know how much, if they have anybody up in a booth watching anything. And for the most part, when they go to these, you see everybody, all the coaches huddled together over this little iPad, trying to pull up their whatever angles they can. That's so difficult to do in 25 seconds to see the angles that you need to see. It doesn't seem fair. If you go to any other sport, they got 19 people up in a booth watching every single angle from every little monitor, zooming in, and they can see everything within a matter of seconds. And yeah, it's really easy to throw a penalty. But the NLL, you have one iPad, and you're like, all right, good luck seeing all the angles you need to see. So first of all, I want just a longer time period. It doesn't need to be 2 minutes or anything, but I think maybe 50 seconds or 40 seconds for both of them to be able to actually review what you can very quickly. I think it would just give a little more time. I think we saw a lot last year where it was just after the time limit that a team would throw it and they'd be like, oh, you didn't get in time. To me, I just think the NLL needs to allow more time because they don't have the 90 different camera angles and the extra team looking up in the booth at everything. And on top of that, arguably the bigger part of it, the refs need to be so much faster, especially regular season. But playoffs, I get you want to take a little bit extra time to make sure you got the call right. But regular season, you should have 1 minute max, I think, to determine a call. And if you can't figure it out in 1 minute, whatever was called on the field is just the call that they stay with, because they're trying to find a toe that is it shouldn't be about this microscopic thing. You're challenging a play, and if you can't figure it out in a minute, then just go with whatever you saw on the field and say it's inconclusive, which they do 90% of the time anyway. I think they take way, way, way too long to review challenges.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I guess my next change kind of applies to that. And I'll give the refs some leeway here because there's so many different boxes they have to check when they're reviewing these type of challenges. Refs got discretion for so many things, but they have to check all these boxes with going challenges. Each arena must be equipped with the same camera angles. Too many times we have seen different camera angles depending on what arena you're in. And I understand the Sabres and the Mammoth and the Roughnecks all play, and even Vancouver plays in a hockey arena. So they have the ability to have different and better camera angles than, say, a Halifax does, or a even Rochester, now in Oshawa. But to me, we just need there needs to be certain camera angles that every arena has to have. We need one directly over the goalie from both ends of the field. You can't just have one that's at an angle. You need to have one that's directly over. I believe a lot of the reasons that the reviews for these refs even take this long is because there's so many different camera angles, and they're not used to, okay, in this arena has this one, but this one has this one. The same angles need to be at each one. If it's not possible, then they shouldn't have them available in others. So each arena has to have the same exact camera angles, and if one arena has more, those more ones aren't allowed. To me, that would solve a lot of issues, and maybe it would push some teams and some arenas and some other places to have better camera angles, so it will benefit them. Like Buffalo, they have so many different camera angles because the Sabres play there. They have much more camera angles than even Rochester. I think Rochester's the one that has it at an angle. So to me, I think one major area, and I don't even know if this would be under the ref's discretion, but overall, each arena, same camera angles would fix a lot of the issues that the refs see.
I think it'd be nice if they polled the refs and be like, hey, out of all the arenas, give
Which
us
ones are the best?
three camera angles that work the best for goals. Like, what are the three that you always go to
Agreed.
if they're all available? And then whatever three that they love the most for quickly calling a goal or not a goal, make those available in every single arena, or at least the top two available in every single arena. And then, like you said, I think challenges would go much quicker. Some of them, they're looking from like the press box camera, trying to zoom in like, I don't know. So yeah, in that situation, I don't blame them either. The last one I have, which is pretty quick, and you talked earlier about making the game a little bit more exciting, more interesting. I think goals should be able to count if the ball has simply left the stick and is in the air by the time the shot clock runs out or the game clock runs out. I think it would make ends of games, ends of quarters, ends of shot clocks, like everything, I think would be that much more interesting, because when someone's at half field or when Vince is launching a full field, you like watch it real closely and the time runs out, you're like, oh, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But if he's allowed to launch it and you have all that time for it to go in, he can very slowly make sure, all he has to make sure is that it's released in time, and you can just make an accurate empty netter. I think that would change a lot of situations. Even the end of a shot clock, when they throw it from, half out and just hope it kind of goes in, I think just that would give a little bit more ability for the players to use up more of the shot clock. And again, end of the half, it gives the goalie empty net goals a little bit more interest than just kind of winging it and hoping for the best. I think it just makes everything a little bit more fluid than having to watch it barely tick over in time. I think you'd have a little bit better camera angles as well to see, okay, did it leave the stick in time of the shot clock versus did it go over the goal line in time? But I think that'd be a nice little change.
Yeah, I do like that one. I think it would make it more exciting. I guess the biggest question I have for you is, if it touches anybody on the way in, does it still count? Like basketball, it's got to leave your hand and it can't touch anybody else. For lacrosse, is it allowed to ricochet and deflect, or does it have to go straight in?
I think it would have to go straight in.
Okay, that's right.
If it touches anybody, if it hits the goalie, I think that's a different. It changes, the time. I think, I would agree that it would have to go straight in, untouched, which that would make it pretty pretty challenging if that's what you're looking for.
Very fair. But those are two rules each we would change or adjust or whatever to what we feel would make the game better. I got two stupid ones. Let's get a little stupid here. Bonus, if the goalie gets a penalty, they have to serve the penalty. I don't think that it will ever happen. I don't think this rule would ever be considered or even brought to the table for a proposal. But I don't even know if it would be good for the game. I just think it would be pretty funny to see a goalie in a penalty box because of a penalty they did.
Or if I don't even mind, like you have to put the backup goalie in.
That's fair. Yeah, a lot
of backup goalies. That's, no offense to the backup goalies in the world, but that's a big drop off a lot of times when you go from the starter to a backup. So 2 minutes for another team to have to go in against a cold backup goalie, I think that'd be huge. So even just it'd be hilarious, like you said, seeing him squeeze into that little box, so that you still get your hilarious aspect, and B, you get a cold goalie coming in off the bench. That's your backup goalie for 2 minutes. That's a big deal. So I think that would be actually really interesting.
Yeah, the extra bonus one I got here, working mics and better camera angles for TV broadcast. And the biggest one, have the benches on the far side of the screen. I don't want to see the camera angle behind the benches. The camera angle should always, for the TV, should always be behind the penalty box. I think it's Rochester and Saskatchewan that have the TV angles behind the benches. And I get that's how it's set up in the arenas, but they set it up in the arenas stupidly. It needs to be fixed. Those camera angles need to be behind the penalty boxes, and you need to charge the referee's microphone so you can hear it on the TV and in the arena. So those are my extra bonus ones to get a little stupid.
I'm sure you could set up a like a platform to put one camera on. They have platforms on stairs, so just put a platform out there, get the camera, and be on the correct side of the field.
Yeah, it's just annoying watching.
PK is all about camera angles and his,
I like the camera
his adjustments.
I love it. But that wraps up this episode. We went over the Bills' loss to the Patriots, Sabres' bold predictions, and referees for the day with a tiny little CBA talk in there. On the next show, we will maybe have a CBA to talk about for the NLL. If not, well, maybe the week after. We got some maybe Sabres talk depending on how those games go. I think they got 3 games from now until the next episode. And then we got Bills versus Falcons on Monday Night Football. Phil's going on vacation, but I will stick around and man the ship along with my special guest co-host next week. So if you're interested, stay tuned. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be very different than what you just heard today. It's going to be a little wacky, a little crazy, a little zany. So if you're interested in that, enjoy. Phil, have a fun and safe vacation. Well earned. And bring me back a souvenir. It'll be fun.
I will.
Maybe a lobster. I would prefer a lobster.
Live
lobster. But that wraps up this one. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Me and Viv, thank you. I think she's got to go to the bathroom. She's been getting pets from me nonstop until she digs her nails in my leg and it freaking hurts. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. It's getting a refresh very, very soon. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Till next week with a new special co-host for one episode. Bye-bye.